Hi friends, let me introduce myself. My name is Barbara Moore, and my superpower, I believe, is communication. I love communication, both written and verbal. What I really love is people. I love connecting with people, and what I'm doing is building a podcast, and I'm starting. The launch date is March the 7th, and I would love if you get on board with me on Kickstarter and watch the story and see what the rewards are. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the podcast. I'm writing a book. The title is The Journey Home. And if you can see this picture behind me, this heart, the stem here says transformation. And in the petals, it says purpose. And in the leaves say freedom. So I will always be about wanting to help people's lives transform, wanting to see them live in freedom and living their purpose. And I'm going to read you a chapter from the Journey Home called Mercy. And this will explain to you what this picture behind me means and what is the logo that is on my the picture on my Kickstarter program. It's called Return from Death to Life, Hope for Hearts Suffering Trauma from Grief, Steps to Healing. So the title of this is Mercy. It was Sunday morning, November 18th of 2018, and McKenna, my youngest daughter, and I were driving to church. Because we had been arguing in the car, neither of us cared to sit together once we arrived. I found a seat by myself, and McKenna went and sat with a friend. During that time, as I sat alone, something significant happened. I heard the Lord speak to me. I did not hear an audible voice, but communication from His Spirit to mine. This was the way I was used to hearing from Him. He said, "Let go of all your expectations." What did that mean? What did He mean by that, I wondered. I thought it must be about McKenna and what we had argued about in the car. I believed the Lord was giving instructions to me with McKenna. Maybe I had been too harsh. Just then, McKenna returned and sat next to me. I took the opportunity to tell my beloved daughter I would lay down all my expectations of her and only love her from that moment on. Worship began with the song by North Point Worship that I loved, When Death Was Arrested. This song had deep meaning to me. The verses in the song from Isaiah 61, 1-3 were the words of my prayers. I had been praying these familiar words on behalf of my oldest daughter, Jordan Ashley, for a long time. Jordan had been severely addicted to heroin for the past 10 years. She could not escape from the pit regardless of how hard she tried. This battle had been fierce, and many who loved her fought their hardest to help her break free. One particular verse of the song, Ash was redeemed, only beauty remains, when death was arrested, my life began, always brought hope to my heart for Jordan. I believed those words for Jordan and fully expected to reap the results of all the tears sown. I was waiting to see the fruit. I was expecting God to give Jordan beauty for the ashes of her life. I desperately wanted a new life for her. Once the song had finished, a man named David, who was regularly at church, went up to the stage. David had something to share, something the Lord had spoken to him while we were singing. David said, "The Lord wants you to know sometimes things in life don't go as you expect them to." This statement grabbed my attention immediately, since the Lord had just spoken to me about expectations. David said, "Sometimes you walk through the Red Sea, then cross the desert and climb the mountain. You think it was God's plan B, but it was always His plan A." Then David said, "God gives you beauty for ashes." I don't know if I heard anything more for the rest of the service. My mind was too preoccupied with wondering what this meant for me. The next morning, Monday, November 19th, 2018, I was about 5 minutes from walking out the door for work when my phone rang. "Hello?" I answered. I heard my name, Barb, followed by a long pause. It was my older daughter Jordan's husband, Craig, on the other end of the phone. I've got bad news. Jordan stopped breathing last night. I called 911 and the paramedics did all they could, but were not able to revive her. No, I screamed. This can't be happening. Craig told me, I still get emotional about this. Craig told me that Jordan was at Peace Health. They wanted to perform an autopsy on her to determine the cause of death. Jordan was just 28 years old. Jordan could never win her battle with heroin on this side of life. I told Craig I was going to the hospital to see Jordan. Both McKenna and I had to be with her. Craig, being kind, was worried about our hearts and wanted to prepare me for what we would face. We had to go. As soon as I got off the phone, the terror hit me, shooting bolts of agony through my entire being. I began screaming in pain. How could this be real? I never for a moment believed Jordan would die. Desperately, I cried out to Jesus, my Savior and Rescuer, since there was no one else equipped to help me. The moment I screamed his name, I immediately heard him say, "Barbara, I have kept my promise to you. Jordan is with me." And suddenly the pain and my tears were silenced. I felt myself tightly wrapped in a blanket of peace. He was with me, comforting me, reassuring me. This peace I experienced did not make sense under these circumstances. I only knew one thing for certain. There was no way I could have had this peace without him. It was his touch and presence that surrounded me. It was not natural. I called my sister for strength and then called my dear friend Angela, who had also experienced the death of her son a few years prior. Angela told me she was leaving work and would meet me at the hospital so we would not be without support to face our worst nightmare. Next, I called Ridgefield High School, where McKenna was a senior. I spoke with the school's secretary, who knew us both well. I knew she cared about us. I told Roz what had happened and that I was coming to get McKenna so we could go say goodbye. She called McKenna's teacher, who told McKenna she needed to go to the counseling office and bring her things with her. When McKenna walked into the counseling office, she found me in tears and deep agony because I had to look my precious daughter in the eyes and tell her that her sissy was gone. Not once had either of us believed for a second that Jordan would die this way, but it was now our reality. We drove to Peace Health Hospital and waited for the staff to get the chaplain to take us to the room Jordan was in. Angela arrived at the hospital, and I will forever be grateful for this act of love and kindness to us. The chaplain arrived and escorted me and McKenna to the room where Jordan was. When we walked into the room, we saw Jordan lying on a medical table with a breathing tube still down her throat. She had passed at 1 a.m. It was late morning at the time we arrived. As soon as I saw her, I went to her and kissed her forehead. She was cold and hard. I was not ready to let her go and accept this reality. I asked Jesus if he could raise her back to life. I asked him to give me a sign if he wanted to do it and have her open her eyes. At the moment, Jordan's eyes began fluttering and I was freaking out, but McKenna grabbed my arm. She said, "No, Mom, Sissy doesn't want to come back." McKenna saw her sister dancing with Jesus in the hospital room. Jordan turned to McKenna and smiled. She gave McKenna a white flower and said, "Give this to Mom and tell her it's okay, beauty for ashes." We left the hospital knowing that Jordan did not want to return to this world. That night, while lying on my bed, I asked the Lord to give me a different vision of Jordan. I did not want the image of her lying on the table and the feel of her cold body to be what I remembered. Then I heard him reply, "But I rescued her from that body. I set her free." As I reasoned this out, all I could say was, how could I be sad about this? Jordan was so sick for such a long time. She truly could not get off this path. I could not wish her back into her body that was so sick and addicted. Her life had become living for her next high, and fear of becoming violently ill if she could not get her drugs. Surprisingly, I found myself filled with gratitude. Jordan had finished her journey here. No one was able to rescue her, but Jesus did. What grace and mercy and kindness. Jordan went home. She went back to where she was created. This was my turning point. As gratefulness and thankfulness filled my heart, I understood at that moment what Jesus had done for her. He rescued her. He set her free because he is so good. I'm certain the demons that had destroyed Jordan's life also hoped to destroy my faith and belief in God. They were wrong. They could not. I only loved him more because he rescued her. Hope is much stronger than fear. I asked the Lord what Jordan's life was supposed to teach me. He said that her life was to teach me his mercy. This life is a journey. We have our lifetime until our last breath to discover its meaning. My wonderful counselor, Jesus, told me that the most important thing in this life is to be teachable and get knowledge. Next, we must gain understanding, and only then can we know what wisdom is. On the pages ahead, I will share our journey and process of examination, discovery, and healing. My daughter McKenna and I have made it through the valley of the shadow of death. We can be a source of encouragement and add strength to others from this experience and understanding we have gained. There is value that comes from all the hard things we walk through in this life. We don't know what we don't know. We wish learning didn't have to be so painful, but pain can be a very good teacher. We were girls who dreamed of white picket fences and happily ever after. Sometimes things don't go the way that you expect. As I once saw it put, someone out there with a wound, there's someone out there with a wound the exact shape of my words. That's why I'm doing this. I love communication and I love people. And life starts something that we all have in common. From a human to a tree, we all start with a seed. And I said that I love connecting with people. I also understand what it is to be disconnected, either through pain and brokenness of relationships or when someone dies. And then there's the disconnect. There is the separation that's hard to deal with. So I've learned so many things in my life, and I've been a good student. I'm a lifelong learner. So there's a lot that I can be able to teach. That's why I'm doing this podcast. It's called Return from Death to Life, Hope for Hearts Suffering, Trauma from Grief, Steps to Healing. And what I will be doing is, on the podcast, I'm just going to be sharing stories with you. I'm going to be sharing stories, telling things that I've learned, encouraging you, supporting you, just becoming a friend that you can trust. Because I'm doing this for one thing, is because when you've lost someone through death, it can be hard to think about your future and what that future is going to be like. So I want to talk to you about your future and help you find light and hope and healing. That's what this white flower is. That's why this flower is so important, because a seed has to die. A seed has to die and go under the dirt. It's under the dirt before it opens and sprouts. The sprouts come up, and then the stem, and then the flower. So beauty truly does come from ashes. Life truly does come from something that's died, and we have hope. So I am a believer. I believe in Jesus, and I know not everyone does, and that's okay. It's okay to have doubt, because we don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot that you'll learn if you listen to my podcast. But what I'm going to do is counseling, grief counseling, and I'm going to be taking people on a 12-step journey, first with discovery and then the cultivation. So like breaking the ground, turning up the hard ground to the soft dirt, bringing up the rocks and the roots and the weeds, and watering, planting, watering, bringing light, warmth, nutrients. There's 12 steps, and at the end, the goal is to have, we're all like a garden. We're like a garden because we start from a seed and we all grow. But at the end, where I'm wanting to return people to is a garden sanctuary of peace and joy and rest. I am Barbara Moore, and my message for 2025 is let's become more. More of what you want to be, more of what you need to be, more of your true identity. If you're one who has suffered the death of a loved one, then more love, more peace, more rest, more joy, more happiness. So you're the ones that I want to talk to about return from death to life. It's returning to the garden. If my perfect person that I would be working with would be Eve. Adam and Eve, the first creation that God made out of the dirt, and they were the first humans, and they were also the first family that lost a child. How traumatic would that be, to be a mother and a father and have your younger son killed by his older brother? That would be trauma. So this is nothing new since the beginning of time. We all go through life and death, and we need to heal. So it's been a 7-year process for me for healing. So what I'm doing is return from death to life, is returning to the garden and walking through the 12 stages, 12 steps to get to the end result of an abundant life. I want to see you all have hope in your hearts. So what I'm asking is for you to open up your heart and ask yourself, what do you need this year? I would love to be someone who coaches you through your optimistic future, looking out like a year from now. What do you want in your life? What do you need in your life a year from now? If you have trauma in your soul, the truth about women, maybe it's true for all people, but if we have trauma in our soul that is unhealed, then we lose our voice. And the truth is too that grief needs a voice. Grief needs to be expressed. It's important to express it. It's important to have someone that listens and someone that understands. The first step is, in my process, is discovery. So I want to hear your story. I want to hear what you've been through, what has hurt your heart, and see how I can help you to heal. So everyone needs a community. We need a family. We need a coach. We need somebody that we know that is going to stand with us, is going to fight for us, and is going to be a weapon in our battle. So I can tell you that I will be a weapon for you. We will take this sword and we will slice every root of anxiety, of fear, of pain, of grief, every single thing that needs to be cut from the roots, so that you can be someone who develops healthy fruit in your life. Because I talked yesterday about how We all start from a seed. So if you take a seed, little tiny seed, and you put it in the dirt and you cover it and you put, you water it, and it gets sunshine, it gets warmth, it gets nutrients, it gets all the things that it needs to grow, it's going to develop a root system. So we want your tap roots to go down and be nourished and be strong and healthy, so that the fruit of your life, who wants rotten fruit? Nobody wants rotten fruit. We want good, juicy, delicious fruit. So the goal is to have an abundant life. We want to go from death to abundant life. The ability to be able to live again and to experience freedom. I want to walk with you through the transformation process, transformation and getting freedom and walking into your purpose. And for me, I'm so excited because in 1993, when my Jordan was 3 years old, and I was asking God, what is my purpose? What did you make me for? And what he said to me is, I made you to be an author. And he told me that I was going to write a book, and the title of that book was The Journey Home. And for years, it's been over 30 years now, and I am now writing The Journey Home. I'm working on completing that book. It's Jordan's story, as I've already told you. But she was only 3 years old at that time. So God sees the beginning and he sees the end. And he knew when she was 3 years old that that girl, my daughter, was going to get on a path that she couldn't get off of, and that he was going to need to rescue her, and he did rescue her. That was 30 years ago, and now it's like I am actually truly walking into the purpose that I know that he made me for, and it feels incredible. You know, I can't do things in life. I just got home from work a little bit ago. I work in the public school system in a 5th grade class, and I do this because kids are our future. You know, there's no more important thing to invest our time into than the ones that are going to be running our country someday. So purposeful work is so good. To be able to go to work and do a job that you know is making a difference. It's making a difference in somebody's life. So I want to help you to make a difference in yours. If like you need somebody to cheer you on, I will do that. If you need somebody to celebrate with you, I can do that. If you need somebody to encourage you and to tell you, you know, keep going, you can do the hard things. We need somebody that is going to, you know, give us a call and say, you know, how are you doing? How are you? Someone that you can talk to that will listen to you and hear you. And what I want to say is that let's let radical hope be our standard. We are stronger together and we are better together. So it may be you, or it could be a friend or a family member that is going through a hard time. So I want to tell you what the rewards are for helping me to build a podcast, because it's time that I need you to help me to get my voice into the world, because I truly want to make a difference one heart at a time. We live in a world that can be very dark and full of chaos, and I truly want to help people to experience their best life. So what I'm asking for you to do is to sow a seed. Whether it be $1, you know, everything that you put into the soil, it grows. Whether it's $1 or $5 or $10, it all helps, it all grows. And there's a principle in life, and that principle is that we reap what we sow. So if you plant something, then you have a return coming. You can expect that when there's a time that you need something, that there is a return coming back for that seed. And so the things that I'm offering is, you know, I did a Kickstarter campaign in 2014 when I was trying to publish this book, Hidden in the Valley. And actually, if you look on Kickstarter, even now, there's still a video. There's a video that I made. I looked a lot younger then, in 2014. But there's a video about this story. My mother and father went on a bow hunting trip in the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. My dad got injured, and my 76-year-old mother spent 14 days in a canyon with a mother bear and her cubs and cuddled with cows to stay warm. So this is something that I want to offer because we were planning her memorial service. The officers were telling us every day, expect the worst. You know, it's treacherous territory, and they didn't expect to find her alive. And on day 14, she was found alive. So we had already thought I already thought my mom was gone. But it was like getting her back from the dead. So return from death to life, it's like my mom was returned from death to life. We got her back. And I wrote this story, and I want to share this with you as a reward. So the rewards, $1. When I launch my podcast, then I will send out an invitation to you so that you can be a part of it. And for $5, when I launch the podcast, I will also mention all the names of everyone who has helped me to reach the goal. For $10, I will give you a copy of Hidden in the Valley, the soft cover, and for $25, a hardcover. Now, I only have about 15 soft covers and 30 hard covers. So when they run out, the other thing that I will do is to give you, for $5, a PDF of the manuscript. So you could still read the book for $5. For $35, you will get the discovery session. Now, I have to tell you that the prices, this is a once in a lifetime that you will get the from 1 to 12 steps at the price that I'm telling you now for helping me to get my podcast going in the world, because it's about a 95% discount. So $35 for the hour-long Zoom call discovery session, and with that is the digital, all the digital material that goes with that. For $140, you can have four steps of the course. For $280, you can have 8 of the 12, and for $420, you get all 12 of them. And you can get it for yourself, you could give it to someone else that you know that needs this. These are the things that I am offering for everyone that helps me. And I can tell you that I won a scholarship to Podcast for Profit, and I also have invested in Podcast Pro University, and I also bought the course Podcast to Profit. So I am so excited because I am learning from the best of the best. Someone that has been in podcasting for over 7 years and is a 7-figure income earner or 6-figure income earner, one or the other. Not that matters, but she does her work with excellence. So I can tell you that what I am going to put out into the world is going to be excellence. I learned a long time ago to autograph my work with excellence. So I don't want to do anything but my very best for you. I appreciate your help. I truly want to help you to, like I said yesterday, I believe in God, and maybe all of you don't. So if you don't have faith, if you're not a person of faith right now, I have enough faith for both of us. And it doesn't matter to me at this point. It's going it's up to you to determine if I'm someone that you can learn from, and we'll find that out in the discovery time. Also, I want to see you open up your heart so that you can have more love in your life. When you're separated from someone, when you're disconnected from someone, if it's a child, if it's a spouse, that leaves a big hole. And like I said, I really believe that my words are going to be the perfect shape to fit the wound in some of your hearts. The other thing is, we need to make up our mind and be determined that we are going to achieve the things that are necessary. What do you want next year, a year from now, to look like? Are you happy and content? Are you comfortable in your own skin? Are you happy with where you're at? And if not, it's time to do something about it. Don't stay in a place of negativity. Don't stay in a place of trauma or grief. I hope that we can connect and that I can be a part of your journey. So I'm asking you to take this journey with me. Let's do this together. We are better together. And I just want to say thank you so very much. And God bless you.